This North Wilkesboro DFS Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN, and get a $25 deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Naira Bets. Claim your $200 deposit bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN 200, promo code SGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez. Happy Friday, first and foremost. We don't really get to say that very often anymore, and so here it is. Happy Friday. We are on the cusp of All-Star Weekend in the Cups, but there's definitely a legit points-paying truck race that's happening first on Saturday. And so, Cody, because we have no underdog for it yet, we figured, why not give you both trucks and cup today for DFS purposes? And it'll feel a little like old times, my friend.
It will feel a little like old times. Don't mind that at all. Love getting the chance to talk fantasy for the truck series as well. And pretty excited for this truck race. Underdog will have their picks out, I'm sure, on All-Star Day, probably for the main race, I would imagine. So, stay tuned. Probably have some picks in the Discord. And or YouTube, X, all the fun stuff. But get to talk a little trucks and a Cup Series today, which is nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's been a while since we've actually done a truck DFS episode. I feel like maybe I would guess a couple of weeks. I think we talked about it a while back. But some of these drivers that we don't necessarily get to talk about on the betting episode, this is why we love the DFS episode so much, is because sometimes we do dig into the bag and pull out some drivers that are, what? We have he's still on the truck series? Like, how is that happening?
Yeah, exactly. I think we did talk about him for Rockingham when the Cup Series was off, but otherwise, that's probably really the only two chances we're going to have this season to talk much about it. So enjoy it while it's here.
Yes, we are at North Wilkesboro. We will be talking about short track racing, all-star racing for the Cup guys, and of course the Truck Series guys. But Kyle Larson already still making noise over there in the IndyCar world. As we talk about DFS, obviously, I don't know that we're going to talk about him very much in this episode, but
we are going to talk about him, and for a couple of specific reasons, and that is, Rod, that he just wrecked, by the way, in IndyCar practice, which is a bit unfortunate. But we talked about, if you've listened all week, we talked on the betting episode about how he probably would miss the qualifying races and will have to start at the rear. That has been confirmed. Hendrick Motorsports said that Justin Allgaier will do the qualifying thing where it's the 3 laps. They have the pit stop, but he's not going to run in the heat races. No reason to try and tear that car up or whatever. They will just park the car for heat races. So Larson will automatically start dead last.
That is actually, there you go. I mean, I knew that we were going to we are going to talk about him because I have him in the...
Yeah, because you have him, Rod. And if you I mean, and we'll talk about it when we get there, but everybody's going to play him, and he's going to be an autoplay because he's guaranteed to start dead last. He'll be scored as starting dead last because he's not going to have run the heat race, so his official starting spot will be, I guess, I don't know. He might start 20th instead of 23rd, but either way, somewhere from 20 to 23rd is where he will be, depending on how they add in the two drivers from the Open and the fan vote. I guess that he will probably start ahead of them, but either way, he's starting near the rear or at the rear. So yeah, that's kind of really the big piece of news. That and yes, he did wreck in IndyCar practice today. I've heard Max Verstappen's never wrecked a car, so that makes Max Verstappen a better race car driver. So I'm glad the debate is finally.
Listen, that was going to hang over our heads for the next several years until we finally got the answer that we needed. But no, listen, just so you know, this is the next, I think, one other week of school left for the kids. So all the concerts, everything's been going on this week. So if I seem a little disheveled here on this Friday afternoon, just know that I have done so much over the course of the week. So if I forgot that Kyle Larson was on my dock, there's really good reason for it. But
I feel you. We just raced home from track and field day, so I had the day off work today, and spent the day in. It was a beautiful day out for it. 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts while they're trying to run track. That was really exciting.
And how many trophies did you bring home, Cody?
I did not bring home any, but my daughter did bring home a couple of ribbons.
Good stuff.
So,
she probably could put those ribbons on her rhythm. Oh, hello, sponsors. Ribbons on a fun piece of SGPN merch. And you can too, because the DJs line of gear is live in the merch store. You could celebrate by taking 20% off of everything with the promo code DGENS. That's DEGENS. Again, gotta love that racing gambling podcast stuff. There's some hoodies, there's some shirts. The race officials or terrorist shirts are in there. You want a coffee mug? They got coffee mugs in there too. All kinds of great stuff. So make sure you go use the promo code DGENS, DEGENS. Get yourself 20% off and come home with some of those new DGen lines as well. Laura checking in, saying hi, guys. Laura said congratulations to your daughter, not to you, Cody. You didn't win anything.
Well, if she wins, I win. I think that's how it works. So, but thank you, Laura. Good to see you here. Glad to have you in the room.
All right. So as we said, talk some trucks. Let's talk some trucks DFS. We haven't done that very often, and so we will. So we are set for 250 laps around the 0.625 mile paved track that is the North Wilkesboro Speedway for 156.250 miles for the Window World 250. There's a couple of names, Cody, that obviously we're going to be talking about here in a second too, but that are going to make a little bit of a noise here in this Truck Series race.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you ready to find out?
I think I'm ready. I don't know if they're ready for it, so let's leave it up to you guys. You guys ready?
Get ready. Let's it's time to jump into the picks. I don't hear anybody saying not to give picks, so let's give the picks. All right, well, we're going to start out somewhere up near the top. Lane Riggs, running the truck lift on him in the betting episode earlier this week. I am absolutely in love with Lane Riggs this week. Rod, last week at Kansas, starts 16th, finishes second. And it was DQ'd later, but that doesn't matter for DFS because they score off results at the end of the race. How it's flagged, 65.5 points for him. Rough week 2 weeks ago with just 1 point, but 40 points, 46 points, 28, 51, 60.9. He's had some really great days so far. $10,200 for Lane Riggs. Last year in his one career start here at North Wilkesboro, a solid third place finish for Riggs. We've seen everything we need to see from Lane Riggs. He has been fast each and every single week. He constantly finds himself in the mix. Oh, by the way, where did he come up at? What is he used to? Short tracks, flat tracks. This is his jam. This is his style. I really, really love Lane Riggs this week. And he's going to probably be making a majority of my lineups at 10,200 because I'm all aboard. Mr.
Yeah,
Riggs.
and Laura following the advice that we got for him out of Group 1, and that's true. I mean, a pissed off Lane Riggs is probably going to be a very dangerous Lane Riggs, and I like that.
Got flipped off and disqualified last week, Rod. Boy, he's going to be
flipped off, but week. How? It's the nicest driver in the entire garage, right? The guy who you would take home and want to marry your daughter. That's the guy, right? That's Carson Hocevar.
I don't think anybody said any of those things, but great race car driver.
I
That
want
is Carson
nothing to
Hocevar.
do with anything that has to do with him. And I got to finish watching. John Little sent a video in Discord. I got to finish watching it because I have a feeling that it's going to be good. So, sorry, John, I didn't get a chance to watch it quite yet. All right, my high price driver for this slate. I'm going all the way to the top, and you have to. And it, much like you kind of have to do it in the Cup race, you have to do it in the truck race, because if you don't have Kyle Busch in your lineup, even at $12,000 that he's at right now, 12,000 even for Kyle Busch, and he goes out and he leads 80 laps and he wins the race like he did in Atlanta, right? Leads some of the the most laps in that race and wins that race. You're not going to win. You're just flat out not going to win. Now, there's a whole lot of combinations you can try to come up with, but it's just not going to work for you as well. And that's just the long and the short of it. Honestly, I mean, there's no, you can't grab any stats from him here because he hasn't raced on this particular track in the trucks yet. And I'm not going to sit here and try to say and pull 07 or 7 stats for these others, because it really doesn't matter. It's Kyle Busch, right? And I know there's people out there that think he's washed, but I guarantee you, I want to be as washed as Kyle Busch is in the truck series. If that's washed, let me be washed, because Kyle Busch always dominates in these truck races. Now, does he always win? Nah, we've talked about it before. There's guys like Corey Heim. There's guys that like Christian Eckes back in the day that would jump up and grab him every once in a while. And he's kind of, the field is shortened a little bit around him, but not so much as to where you can just fade him for the sake of fading him. So I think you have to have him in your lineups, at least one, if not several of your lineups this weekend in the trucks, because I know, anybody that knows the truck series knows that Kyle Busch has the potential to go out there and just whoop some tail and come away with the win. So I just don't want to miss out on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your permission, and I probably say that too many times over the course of the season, but this is your permission to play the highest price guy. I know it doesn't take a lot of analysis to pick the top guy on the shelf and say, okay, this is the guy. But there's a lot of people that get scared off by the price, and they go, I don't know, is he really worth the price? Kyle Busch worth the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Love this play as well. Talked about him on the betting episode. Both of us actually had some plays on him. Wanted to bring up Corey Heim. We didn't talk about him today. We sort of touched on him. You did, at least in one of the plays in the betting episode yesterday. But 12,200, he's going to be great this weekend as well. You're probably going to have to pick between Riggs, Busch, and Heim. I don't think you'll be able to get all three in there. I think I have Heim third on my list out of those guys, especially with Riggs being $200 or $2,000 cheaper. That certainly helps for sure. But wanted to just toss Heim out there because he's great every week. He's going to continue to be great.
I agree, and so does John Little. John Little says KFB in a truck lineup is a no-brainer, and that's
right.
Really the long and short of it. Yep.
Right.
All right, let's step down to some mid-tier drivers. Cody, who do we got to give some folks a little money?
Yeah, mid-tier for me, Rod. I'm going to go $8,200. Mr. Caden Honeycutt. Again, guys coming up from the Cars Tour, guys that have run these short track late model races, stuff like that. Oh, and by the way, he's looked really good lately. 8th place last week at Kansas, 6th place at Rockingham a few weeks ago, 8th place at Bristol. That's 3 of the last 4 races. Rough day at Texas. Shit happens, right? Go back to Martinsville. Oh, he finished 26th. What a horrible day. Not so fast, my friend. He started in 3rd place, got up front, led 20 laps. Had some money on him that day. Trust me, I was keeping an eye on him. Got shipped at one point, and then things, didn't obviously end well for him. Ends up being a bad day on the scorecard, but he looked good in practice, looked good in qualifying, was running well, and led 20 laps, which is great. Has that type of upside for you. $8,200 rather is a great price for Caden Honeycutt. I think he'll probably qualify pretty decently. He has been for the most part lately. Got some fast lap upside. Got some laps led upside if he can get that track position. I think the Caden Honeycutt's going to be a guy that we're going to see in the mix in the top 5, top 10 at the end of the day. And that's what you need.
Well, and what's interesting enough is that the next driver I'm going to pitch as my medium or my mid-tier driver drives the same equipment. It drives a Nice truck. And it's funny because we sort of let the Caden Honeycutts of the world sort of preempt the Matt Millses of the world. I mean, Matt Mills is sitting here right now at $6,900 for Matt Mills. And what's crazy about Matt,
nice.
Very nice. What's crazy about Matt Mills, like we said, he has been driving the same equipment all season long as his 45 counterpart. And it just sort of, you forget about Matt Mills, and you forget about the fact that he's actually a semi-decent and semi-competent truck driver in and of himself. Now, granted, it's not like he's knocking on the door of a top 10 finish each and every week, as is his counterpart. However, he does have an 18th place average finish after a 20th place start. So what that tells me right off the bat is that he is good at least improving his position as somebody who can get you some points to the place differential style, right? On this track in particular, last season, yeah, he lost you 3 places. It started 15th and finished 18th. But boy, I got to tell you, even an 18th place finish from a guy who's $6,900 is not all that bad, because guaranteed there's other guys that are more expensive than him that were finishing way worse than him. So, I mean, again, on a guy like Matt Mills driving that kind of equipment, I very much love it. And then you look at what he's actually done this season as far as fantasy points per race. He's got 26.1 fantasy points per race this season. That is actually not bad for a guy. Let's compare it to some of the guys that are around his price that have the same points per race than does Matt Mills. Ty Majeski, 26.1. What's he this week? $9,700. His teammate, Caden Honeycutt, you just talked about, 26.2. His salary, $8,200 this week. Tanner Gray, 22.8 fantasy points per race, $7,500. So these Nice trucks are a bargain, and I think one that's going to actually pay out for you in the end. So give me Matt Mills at $6,900.
Yeah, that is a very nice pick, Rod. And I completely agree with it. I think that Mills is a guy that's kind of just goes under the radar, kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Not a guy we talk about when it comes to betting very often, because again, in the trucks, we don't get a top 10 market. That's where you'd consider him a lot more for sure. Top 5 market, is he really a viable top 5 too often? Probably not as much. So just a guy that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, doesn't get talked about as much, but I think it's great to highlight him at this very nice $6,900.
Jess checking in. Hi, Jess. We haven't seen Jess in a while. So
hey, Jess.
Yes.
Jess heard trucks.
Definitely
She
comes
comes
running.
running.
And John Little saying he's trying to listen on YouTube and watch Cup practice at the same time. Yeah, you don't need to listen to those other guys.
Hey. Yeah, there's not really much to hear over there. You can hear everything you need to hear there while you watch them practice.
I agree. All right, well, I'll take a step down to our low price driver, but before we do, I would like to tell you about our friends over at Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. You get no usage fees, no minimums. You can earn cashback rewards, and you get 100% approval for all betting deposits. That's the most important part. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code SGPN. If you deposit $25, Edge Boost is going to match that deposit. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Preakness right around the corner. We already had the best one of them all, right? The Kentucky Derby. Well, the Preakness is there, and it's just around the corner. There's no better time to get in on the action with Naira Bets. Sign up today using promo code SGPN200 and score a $200 deposit match bonus. And don't wait. Head to nairabets.com/SGPN200. Claim that $200 deposit match and bonus today. That's nairabets.com/SGPN20. NYRAbets.com/SGPN20. It is time for my underdog play of the week. The underdog pick and play. It's simple. It's the Emiliano Romaggiano Grand Prix. And I'm going to take Lewis Hamilton better than 6.5 in his finishing position. Something's got to give for Lewis and Ferrari. I know that he's probably not very happy with the way his season's been going so far, but I think that all changes on a track that he's been very, very good at. So give me Lewis Hamilton better than 6.5 in his finish over there in Imola. Underdog just launched their new ladders game, up to 500x your time and your investment watching your favorite players climb that ladder. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Well, they also have Carlos Sainz, and he's set at 8.5. And I feel like I want to take Carlos as a top 8 car. He was fast in practice, at least in practice 1, and then not so fast in practice 2. So I don't know what to do with Carlos anymore.
Carlos has been tough this year. I was very high on him coming into the season. I was excited about him being at Williams. It's mostly been disappointing, but there's been some bright spots. He's tough. He's tough on a week.
Very tough on a week-to-week basis. But what isn't tough on a week-to-week basis is identifying value drivers for your DFS slate. And so we will do exactly that. Cody, who do you have as your value driver for this truck race?
Yeah, I went a little bit higher in the value tier at 6,600, but you saved a little bit of money in the mid tier, so I spent it for you in the bottom tier, Rod. I want to talk about Luke Baldwin again. 6,600. You see the little 13.5 by his name. It's not that impressive, right? 2 points last week at Kansas, 25 at Martinsville. I would take 25, right? But it's the upside that we saw with Luke Baldwin. He looks so good at Martinsville. So good. He comes out. He was super fast in practice. Looks good during the race. Then, I don't remember if it was a penalty or spin out, whatever it was. I think he spun out, found his way back up to the front, had another issue. We got to clean up the issues, right? He's still newer, but Wayland modified guy, that's kind of thing he runs in all the time. This is the type of track that he runs at, does really well at. And he's in a Thor Sport truck. These are really good trucks, solid trucks. We've seen him perform well in the one other track that looked like this, like Kansas last week. I'm throwing that out, right? First time at a big track. I mean, he's never raced any type of track like that before. He's a young kid getting his feet wet in this. It didn't go great. Shit happens. Not too worried about it. But you're going back to his bread and butter. And we've seen these guys that come up through these types of routes. Butterbean Queen last year in this race. Seen some of these other guys. They tend to run better at these tracks. Very, very impressed with what I saw from Baldwin a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry about my internet, guys. I know that it's not great today. My internet not as fast as Xfinity Mobile. Maybe that's the problem. I need to use Xfinity. I don't know. I don't think you can get that here. I might be coming to you live from a forward base in Fallujah. Who knows? But yeah, there's like storms and 60-mile-an-hour winds here right now, and it's wreaking havoc on the old Nebraska.
Live from the bunker, formerly known as Cody's basement. It is Cody Zeeb in the NASCAR Gambling Podcast world. Yeah, look, as far as I'm definitely with you on Luke Baldwin. It's got to find value down there in these bottom tiers, which is why I am going to a name. Like I said, we barely bring these names up. I don't know that how many times I've talked about Matt Mills over the course of the season or the couple of seasons. But I know I have barely ever talked about Spencer Boyd. I know you have talked about Spencer Boyd, Cody, more than I have, but Spencer Boyd making his appearance on this show in particular. Not really the greatest of finishes at North Wilkesboro since the 2 years that he's been riding around this. He started 35th last year, or 2 years ago, rather, in 2023, finished 27th. So not a bad day for DFS style, especially since he is only $5,600 on this one. But more impressive to me, we talked about fantasy points per race, right? 23.6. That's actually not bad considering what we read off on some of these other ones, right? Like some of the guys that we were talking about before. Spencer Boyd above guys like Jack Wood, above guys like Tanner Gray. Well, like you want to say Taylor Gray. Above all these, Dawson Sutton, Sammy Smith, even in his one race, didn't score as many points as young Spencer Boyd is actually averaging over the course of the season. Got you 22 points in the last race, 29 before that, 44 in the previous race at Black Tires 200. Started 31st, finished 15th in that race. He got you 35, 18, 13, 32, 19. Spencer Boyd, one of these guys where, he's starting mid-20s or even in the back end of the 20s, early 30s, but he's getting you somewhere into the top 25 range, right? It's just one of those things where he's just unsung hero when it comes to being able to score you a decent amount of fantasy points on a weekly basis. So very much intrigued with the upside of Spencer Boyd this week, and especially at his price at $5,600. As long as he doesn't lose me points, Cody, I'm good because I've got Kyle Busch in there, and I know Kyle Busch is going to score all the points. So
that's right. I generally reserve all of my Spencer Boyd love for the super speedways because he's pretty damn good at them, and he's won me a ton of money there before. But yeah, the price you're getting him at, he's just kind of a crafty veteran. Look, that truck's not fast. It's not going to qualify well, which is what you want in a guy you're playing this far back. It limits the damage he can do to you, but he's also can just, stay out of the chaos, stay out of the trouble, kind of gain a few spots here and there, racks up enough points for you. Guy like Kyle Busch blows up in your lineup, boom, you're having a great day with Spencer Boyd
It
at the bottom.
definitely covers a lot of wounds when you got a guy like Kyle Busch. And if you don't have very many wounds, like Spencer Boyd is not a wound, then you're all the better off. Because a lot of these, they'll probably try to load up the Tanner Grays of the world just on the upside alone for him, right? And they're going to try to load up on these guys that put themselves in situations where they end up wrecking and they end up not finishing the race. And so you want guys at the bottom of the list that'll finish the race and benefit from some of that chaos. So love me some Spencer Boyd this week. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over all of our Truck Series DFS picks for you before we move on to the Cup Series and the All-Star race. Cody started you off with Lane Riggs at $10,200 as his high-price driver. I said Kyle Busch, got to have him this week, $12,000 as my high-price driver. Cody gave you Caden Honeycutt, $8,200 as his mid-tier driver. I said Matt Mills at $6,900 as my mid-tier driver.
Nice.
I'm waiting. That's the reflex time that I'm waiting on. And then Cody gave you Luke Baldwin at $6,600 as his low-price driver. I gave you Spencer Boyd at $5,600 as my value driver. All right, Cody, that'll do it for the
Laura liked the Baldwin play. She went after the top 5. We talked about that yesterday on the betting episode. Also, Jess just got home and poured a drink. Love it. What are you drinking, Jess? I would like to know. And Laura just finished her iced coffee. So there you go. And John Little wants to know about Connor Moylesack, Rod. Is he a good low price driver?
would say possibly.
I think he sucks most of the
He's
time,
only won one race this year. Or not one race. He's run all 9 races, but he's only averaging 15 fantasy points per race. And I get it.
He jumps up and has spike weeks, but yeah, it just seems like more times than not you look up and you're like, God,
well,
he led again. Like he
led 30 laps here, or on 30 laps at Atlanta. When Kyle Busch led that, but I mean, yeah, that was
Speedway. Anybody you could lead at Super Speedway.
I don't know. Could I do it on a scooter like Kyle Larson? It'd be the greatest driver in the world. All right.
They did get the car fixed. He's back on the track.
That's the thing about IndyCar, dude. They just slap. It's like Legos. They just put it back together.
They can fix them cars real
They're like,
quick.
oh, we're missing a 3x4 piece. Throw that thing on there. There you go. So, all right. Yeah, great. Jess, I'll be joining you in a drink sooner rather than later. As soon as I pick up my girls, we're going to go figure out what we want to drink tonight. So, all right. I know.
That would be what Rod and his wife want to drink, not Rod and his girls.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't live in Europe. We don't live in Europe. We're good. All right. Let's go on to the Cup Series race. But before we do, allow me to tell you about our friends over at Rhythm. Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs and MLB prop market with Rhythm. Building your own model is simple and easy. Rhythm knows that you'll love it, and that's why they include a 7-day free trial. Love building me some Aaron Judge home run models. I want to know if I'm going to have to bet on it on any particular night. And so Rhythm helps me do exactly that, and it can help you. And it's got some amazing deals too going on. 25% off of monthly subscription with promo code SGPN25 and 50% off an annual subscription with promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Get your 7-day free trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, plus props for every game. And for the true degens out there, the MyBookie money bag. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of location. There's easy deposit and lightning fast payout using cryptocurrency. Look, I'm watching right now the Call of Duty League. They're in their qualifying rounds right now. And you could bet on it live. So if you're watching this live, go grab right now the Carolina Royal Ravens. They are minus 112 right now to beat Minnesota Rocker. They are up right now, or they're actually tied 1-1 in the series, but they're playing right this instant. It looks like the Carolina Royal Ravens are going to pull this one off. So go grab it at minus 112 over on mybookie.ag. It's live. It's happening right now. And if it's not already, and if you're listening to this tomorrow, sorry you missed out. Watch the show live next time. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SG, or PN. I almost want to say race SGPN. Absolutely love it. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for the entire stay. What are you going to get when you win? A 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino for the entire 12-person league. That's 6 double king rooms. So, don't go thinking you get your own beautiful, but it doesn't matter because you're in Vegas. So you probably won't ever sleep anyways. You can hold the draft at the Cabana at Stadium Swim with $5,000 food and beverage credit. Whew, you got limo transportation to and from the airport, a welcome party at Legacy Club for the league, a reservation at the world's largest sportsbook with $500 beverage credit for the entire league, 2-hour open bar package for the league at Overhang Bar. The contest is happening now through June 30th. You want to enter? Of course you do. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. I want to know who's funding this trip. I mean, I know Circa's giving it away, but holy hell, that's a lot.
I don't care who's funding it, Rod. I just want to go on it. Cousin Danny checking in says, Mick Ultras and NASCAR Gambling Podcast go together like the Chili's Triple Dipper and El Presidente Margarita.
That's what I want.
I would like to say you should have better taste in beer. Miller Lite, less calories, tastes better than Mick Ultra, but, that's whatever. And Jess is drinking whiskey, so cheers to Jess. All right, Rod, should we move over to the All-Star race proper?
We should move over to the All-Star race proper. And just so you know, the All-Star race, the DraftKings, when you log on to there and you go to the contest, you'll see all kinds of red marks on it, right? And that just means that all these open drivers have not won their way in yet. Therefore, you put them in your lineup at your own risk because they don't know if they're going to be in the race or not. All but 3 of them will not be in the race. So, we're going to give you guys that we know are in the race. And I think Cody may end up giving you one that needs to get himself.
I got all guys that are locked in, Rod.
Okay, good. Because that's important.
I know it's surprising that one guy's locked in, but he is.
Oh my God. Whatever. All right. So you talk about the fan vote guy.
No, none of them are fan vote guys. Calm down. Okay.
No,
Anyways,
you want a fan vote guy in there. I know you do.
Well, Carson Hocevar, I could have put him in the lineup, but I think he's going to find his way in through the race anyways. But if not, hopefully he'll win the fan vote for sure. If just from all of us here at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast that are voting for him, if you want the full breakdown of the format for the All-Star race, we talked about it on the betting episode on Tuesday. Go back and check that out. Also have an article out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com that's got the format along with odds for both races, all that stuff listed in there if you want to kind of look through it yourself. That's over there at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, so you can check that out. We're not going to rehash all of that. But yeah, like Rod said, DFS points only count in the main event. The All-Star Open does not count for any points. The heat races do not count for any points. None of that stuff matters. But the starting lineup will be set based on the results from those heat races. Again, Kyle Larson will not be in the heat races, and Justin Allgaier is going to qualify the car. So he will officially start somewhere between 20th and 23rd, which will there's 23 drivers in this race. So just so you know, that's where he's going to be. He is the most expensive driver on the board. Not shocking because he pretty much is every single week. And we'll talk about him more here in a minute. But, Rod, I am going to start with a guy who sits second place in the leaderboard currently for practice at North Wilkesboro, and that is one Chase Elliott, $9,000. I talked about him on the betting episode. I really like Chase Elliott this week. First of all, he's that consistent guy you can count on week in and week out. Second of all, we've seen him be kind of coming in with some momentum, right? Well, sort of some momentum. Ran good last week. Result not indicative of how they ran, but had a chance to win that race, which you like. And then you go back and you look at what he did earlier this season, or prior to the season, I suppose, at Bowman Gray at the Clash there. A short track, a flatter track, this type of racing track, smaller than Wilkesboro a bit, but very comparable in that. Was able to get a good starting spot, get up front, and stay up front, and really dominated that race, racked up the points. And I think that we could see that type of Chase Elliott performance again this weekend. So give me the 9 car at $9,000. And pricing is a little – everybody's prices have kind of dipped this week because there's only going to be 20-some drivers in the field, so they got to make sure you can fit everybody in there. But, yeah, like you had mentioned too, it's nice that they list everybody that's listed as questionable is not locked into the race. So that's good. You kind of know ahead of time. But make changes between the open event and the all-star race. I'm not going to set any of my lineups until between those races. Don't reserve them and forget to set them because that sucks, right? Maybe have a placeholder in there if you're going to forget, or you might forget. But you want to ideally set your lineups after the open when we know who those other 3 drivers are, the 2 who race their way in along with the fan vote driver, and then you kind of know officially where everybody is starting at that point in time as well.
Yeah, again, it's a matter of, this is the delicate dance because it's not like every other week where you can set it up and then maybe make a couple of tweaks here and there afterwards. But I will tell you right now that if you do set most of your lineups up, and you'll definitely be making changes once these open guys get out, because depending on how good, none of them have won yet in a very long time. But
I mean, how are you going to pass up on Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar, Rod? I can't do that.
I'm going to do that. In fact, that is going to be my strategy. And if I lose, I lose. But I'm good with that. But I will not pass up on the opportunity to put Kyle Larson into the lineup. $10,500. You said it before. He's the highest priced driver on the entire slate. But like you said, we know he's starting pretty much last. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be 20th because the 21st through the 23rd spots are taken by the open guys. And I don't think that necessarily changes regardless. So of all of the folks that are locked into the main event, Kyle Larson will start last of those, which means that he is going to guarantee a 20th spot. And we talked about it too. Like the last couple of races, he's driven up through the field and had some good finishes at North Wilkesboro for him to be pretty much. That's what he's going to get you. He's going to get you all those place differential points. He could jump up and lead this race. It's difficult. I'll tell you that much right now, for somebody in the back to win this race. If anybody can do it, Kyle Larson could do it. But what you're looking for here is you're looking for those place differential points. And you're also looking for fastest laps on this one, because as he's carving his way up through the field, he'll be one of the fastest cars out there doing it. Right. And so we've seen sometimes that it's not always the cars in the front that turn the fastest laps. Sometimes it's these guys that know they have to put the pedal on to get through the field so that they can get to the front to try to win the race. So Kyle Larson's fast enough to do that. He's been riding in an IndyCar for the last couple of days with a ton of speed behind him, so he's not scared of that. So yeah, I think Kyle Larson, just like Kyle Busch, this is your permission to go ahead and play him. Don't get scared by the price. Don't just because he's going to be chalky think I can be smarter than everybody else, because I guarantee you right now, you overthink it and you're going to be out, especially when he comes in with a pretty big points day for you.
Yeah, this is one of the few situations where we have sort of a bit of an answer key going into it, right? Usually we don't know anything practice speeds. We don't know anything about where they're going to start, how they're going to qualify. But what we do know is that he is not going to start well. He's not going to qualify well because he's not going to qualify. And so that helps, right? He's going to start at the back. Even if he is scored as starting in 20th, but starts in 23rd, that it's no difference, right? That doesn't make any difference. I think you have to play Kyle Larson this week. Now, entering some GPPs, some bigger stuff, right? You're going to want to not play him because he could get caught up in a wreck right away, right? Tears up the car, day's over, and then everybody blew their wad on him. That's when you don't want to have him. But most of your cash games, a majority of the games you play, everybody is going to play him. But if you don't have him, you're probably going to be screwed, because he is going to, assuming he doesn't get caught up in a wreck early, he's going to get you place differential points. He's probably going to get you a decent finishing position. So I think that he is a guy that almost has to be in every lineup you put in this weekend because of the circumstances that surround it. It's just seeing Kyle Larson go out there and start 20th and finish 15th. Boy, it's going to be, I don't know that that's going to happen. And if it does, you didn't play him, that's going to work out, right? And you always want to have diversity, and you always want to leave guys out and put guys in different lineups. But for the most part, I think you're going to want to play Larson.
Yeah, and again, it's just a matter of, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to tell you, oh, don't do it because he's well, that's fine and all well. But, if he does end up going out and not having a good day, then fine. I told you so. I got beat on that one, but I'd hate to get beat by somebody who didn't shine.
I left him out of my Kansas lineup last week after he started on the pole, because I was like, these Kansas races, we've had a lot of different leaders. Yeah, that did not go so good for me, Rod. But shit happens. So that's okay. All right. Should we jump into the mid-tier guys, Rod? Joshua Berry locked himself in a couple of weeks ago when he scored that win in Las Vegas. $7,500 for Josh Berry. I am extremely high on Josh Berry this week, Rod. I was the biggest Berry skeptic. I wasn't sure about Berry. I wasn't sold on Berry. I didn't know about the Wood Brothers speed. I didn't know about their cars. It's all done. It's all gone now. I saw him in Kansas last week in person. The fastest car at the racetrack. Yeah, I know Kyle Larson dominated the event. I had my eyes on Berry all day, and he looked so good. Now we're coming back to the Cars Tour type racing, the late model racing, where he cut his teeth, where he drove for so long, where he was so successful at. That's led to him getting this opportunity. It is a match made in heaven. Talked about him on the betting episode. He's the cover guy on the sportsgamblingpodcast.com article this week with the format, with the odds, with the best bets. He is one of those best bets. I took him to win outright. I took him to finish top 3. I'm going to take him here in fantasy, $7,500. Nice, cheap option for you. With all the upside in the world, he could go out there, be the best car on the day, win this race very easily. He could lead a lot of laps. Josh Berry is a pretty true contender at this point, and you're going to the type of track, the type of racing that fits his style great. You love to see it. A 4th place at Phoenix earlier this year in kind of one of our few short tracks we've had the chance to look at. We've seen the speed. We see the momentum coming into this. Love Josh Berry. So
you don't got to sell me on Josh Berry. I was banging the drum for Josh Berry back in the Xfinity days or maybe even back in his iRacing days, or maybe when he was selling car. I don't know. I've been a Josh Berry
Rod drove to Josh Berry's bank.
Yeah. I was like, hey, I'd like to deposit $10 and you can give me $100 back because I'm betting on you to actually make it into the show someday. And sure enough, there it was. No, I love it. I love Josh Berry. I think that's a very solid play. Obviously, I like him in the betting episode as well. John Little talking about Ross, currently 6th fastest in practice. Busch needs some momentum, and it could be a pick, albeit a risky one. I'm going to go to his teammate on the other hand. I'm going to go to Daniel Suarez. I'm going to go Daniel Suarez at $6,500 as my low price driver. Look, parked it on the pole in the All-Star race last season, in 2023 rather, and then ended up finishing 7th. So not a very solid finish to back up that pole, but there was some speed in that particular car. And Daniel Suarez over the last 3 weeks has had 48 or more fantasy points in 2 of the last 3 races. 48 points at Talladega, 49 points the week after. He did lose you 19 points in Kansas, but he did put it in 8th place. He started in 8th place, which again, there's speed in these Trackhouse cars. There's speed in these 2 drivers that we know Daniel Suarez is kind of on a short leash at this point, and he's not really making a whole lot of friends if he keeps finishing 34th after starting 8th. So he's averaging 24.9 fantasy points per race this season. But like I said, actually 3 40-point or more totals in the last 5 races for Daniel Suarez. So I'm hopeful that we get at least 30 points out of him this time around with a nice solid top 10 finish, and maybe he starts deep, like 20th or something, and finds his way up 10 spots for it. So or he just qualifies well and holds on to his position. I'll take that as well. It doesn't matter to me how he gets there. I just think Daniel Suarez could get there at $6,500.
Nice. You and your Suarez love, Rod. There's always a lot of it. But I don't really have much of an argument with Suarez this week. A guy that I kind of like, a guy that's been really just overperforming all expectations and looked pretty good this week. He is locked in, Rod. This was the surprising one. I know it seems weird that he's locked in, but all winners from 24 and 25. Actually, how did he get locked into this race? Didn't he win the 23 Daytona 500? Or did he win in 24? Hasn't William Byron won back-to-back 500s? Oh no, did he win it? He won it last year, Talladega or something. Okay. Anyways, whatever. Doesn't matter. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's locked in $6,000. He's just been having a really strong season, and it's not been overly impressive, but he scored a lot of points. It's going to be a little different this week because we don't have as deep of a field in the main event as we normally do. It's going to be 23 cars compared to 36, 38 that you get on a week-to-week basis, but you don't need him to do much, right? Ideally, he kind of goes and starts a little farther back in the field, but even if he starts a little higher in the field and kind of sticks with where he starts or does a little better, That's fine. A couple of weeks ago, Texas ran in 6th place. 12th at Talladega, sure, super speedway, I get it, but he's had really good, solid runs every week, like 19th, 12th, 22nd, 25th, 20th, 24th, 18th, 21st, 18th, 18th, 5th place. Like, it's been nothing bad for Stenhouse so far this season. Now, hopefully, he doesn't get into a pissing match on the first lap of the race this year in the All-Star race like last year, and then get his ass kicked by a crew member in the garage area. Hopefully none of that happens this time, but Stenhouse just a guy that's kind of been quietly putting together solid week after week. And Ricky Stenhouse, Ricky Spenhouse, we have all these different names for him, but I haven't really seen much of that. And I kind of like it. He's just turned into, at least so far this season, a guy just out there minding his P's and Q's and kind of getting it done. Don't need a ton from him in this race. Just go out there, mind your P's and Q's, get a few spots where you can get them, turn in a solid day. I think we might be able to get that out of Richard Stenhouse.
He is keeping his car clean this season, and I think that might be just something. I don't know if that's a mindset. I don't know.
That new ownership come in and kind of lay
They're
down
like,
the law,
listen,
Rod.
Ricky, we know the name and we know the Recky. We need to be Ricky, not Recky this year. So keep it clean.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that so long as he does not piss off Kyle Busch on the first lap of this particular race.
Yes, that'd be
Harrison Burton joining the field. He's obviously a full-time Xfinity driver this year after being bounced from the 21 car, but he will be driving the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing in this race, in the All-Star race. So good for Rick Ware to have a car in there, and good for Harrison Burton to be that driver. Obviously, we know. Oh, by the way, Ricky won at Talladega last year. That was the race that he won last year.
Yeah. As I thought about it more, I realized, I think he did win another race. Sorry for forgetting that, Ricky.
Ricky probably forgot that too. It's like, oh shoot, I won last year. I'm in the All-Star race. That's awesome.
I feel like he's probably not forgetting about wins because they're kind of few and far between.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, you can count it. But no, Harrison Burton going to be driving that 51. I mean, look, the price that he's at right now is at $5,500. He's really the bottom of the barrel, and he's pretty much the lowest of all the drivers that are already locked in. So there's, after him, you got guys like Ty Dillon, SVG, Cody Ware, Chad Fincham. They're not locked in. Above him, you got Riley Herbst, Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek, your guy, Ricky Stenhouse, Justin Haley. Like, he is the lowest.
He will be the cheapest. Those guys below him are not making.
No, yeah, and that's it. So he's going to be the guy that is the lowest price driver in the entire field. And you cannot go wrong with him at all, right? You just can't. There's nothing to lose with Harrison Burton, only everything to gain, unless he goes and qualifies super well and puts it in like 5th place and then loses you a bunch of spots, and then you're screwed. But I don't foresee that happening. I think the 51 car is going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack. It may even stay in the middle of the pack, but hell, for $5,500, I will take 20 points out of him. I'll take 25 points out of him. Like, I don't even care, honestly, if he finishes. Well, okay, I kind of care if he finishes dead last, but even 23rd place pays out 19 points, right? So all he's got to do is just move up a couple of spots for you to actually get some sort of return on your investment. So yeah, I mean, Harrison Burton's probably the smartest play of the entire slate, given other than maybe Kyle Larson, but I think Harrison Burton still has more to stand for you there.
Yeah, I think that nobody's going to want to play him because we know he's not a full-time Cup guy anymore. He got kicked out of the Cups, not kicked out, but he got fired and has settled for a lower Xfinity tier drought. Now, you listen to this show, you know how much we love Harrison Burton, where he's at in Xfinity right now, right? And that's kind of key. But he's coming in the Rick Ware car. Like, nah, you just don't. Nothing too impressive about that. But hey, 16th place at Phoenix to end the year. Had a great run at New Hampshire as well with a 14th place run. Those are some shorter, flatter tracks. You could definitely pull a couple of things from that, and nobody is going to be playing him. There's a little bit of upside there. Look, Rick Ware cars are not great. We know that. But they've had some solid performances. We've seen LaJoy get a little bit out of it at the end of last year. We've seen Justin Haley get some out of it at the beginning of last year. They've got some potential. Maybe this does, I don't foresee it being a chaotic race, but we've not foreseen that before, and it's happened, right? If it does, maybe he ends up keeping it clean, has kind of a run. This is also, I mean, a guy like this could be taking this race more seriously than most people, because hey, here's my kind of opportunity to show potential drive, stuff. Like, look, he came into this all-star race and took a crappy 51 car and got this done with it. He's, he's a young guy. I was watching Full Speed on Netflix, and my goodness, him and his wife, they're like young kids, Rob. I'm like, God, he's like a 3-year Cup Series veteran. Like, he's already been run through the Cup Series ringer and kicked out of it. And they're just like little kids still. But he's a good driver, a solid driver. We've seen that in the Xfinity Series this year. So I do think that he's a guy that nobody is going to play. He saves you a ton of money because he's going to be the cheapest driver that's locked into the event. And he is the cheapest one that's locked in. He will be the cheapest one that makes the main event too. And yeah, definitely there is some upside there. So I
agree. And John Little saying Toddy G's not in yet, but he was good in Martinsville. But the thing is, I don't know that he's going to finish in the top 2, and he's definitely not getting the fan vote. So
yeah, he's one of the guys that I don't think was in the top 5 for fan voting, and he's probably not going to get that. Yeah, does he race his way in? I think he could, but boy, I don't know. It's tough, especially, I mean, depending on who makes it in with those 3 spots, you're going to have to consider playing at least 1 or 2 of them because of the fact that they are going to start out back. And if they're able to get some points, and they're going to have more laps on the track, like they just had 100 laps to figure things out as long as their car's not too effed up. Like, there is some advantages to playing those 3 guys who make it in. So definitely look at those. We have no idea at this point who those guys are. But they are all 3 going to be worth looking at because of the starting position and because there's still probably some pretty good drivers, right? Ty Gibbs is in that race. Bubba Wallace is in that race. Guys like Zane Smith and Todd Gilliland, who we talk about all the time consistently, they're in that race. Carson Hocevar, the future GOAT, is in that race. Love you, Rod. So yeah, you definitely, whoever those 3 are, you certainly will want to look at them and probably play at least one of them in addition to having Larson. And those are going to be chalkier plays as well. But again, limited field, there's only 23 guys that make the main race. So you only have 23 to pick from.
Yeah, it's going to be a balancing act too, depending on who makes the final and whether or not you even consider that. So absolutely love it. All right. Yeah. Well, then get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our DFS picks for the All-Star race. Cody started you out with Elliott. That is Chase Elliott at $9,000 for his high-priced driver. I said his teammate Kyle Larson, charging his way from the back at $10,500 was going to be mine and probably everybody else's plays out there. Cody gave you Josh Berry at $7,500 as his mid-tier driver. I said mi amigo Daniel Suarez, $6,500 would be my medium price driver. Cody said Ricky Stenhouse, put some respect on that name, $6,000 as his low price driver. And I said young Harrison Burton at $5,500 is my low price driver for the All-Star race. Cody, we have reached the end of the week. Can you believe it?
We're here. It's Friday. Cup practice going on right now. Love it. If you're listening to this live right now or on Friday, qualifying is tonight. All that stuff is tonight for the Cup Series. So we're going to have some answers, right? We don't have the Open until Saturday or Sunday rather. So we won't know those final 3 that get in there, but we'll have some answers for how people look tonight. You'll have some days, even time to, consider those other plays you're going to have in addition to the 3 who qualify their way in the Open.
Apologies to anybody who tailed me on the Carolina Royal Ravens. Unfortunately, they did not pull through over the Minnesota Rocker. So I'm sorry about that. You guys, I'll be better next time. But we'll definitely cash some NASCAR bets and DFS picks, which is exactly what we want. So, Cody, let's send everybody off to finish practice and, of course, to have fun watching all the festivities of the All-Star race this weekend. And in the meantime, remind everybody where they can find you out in the real world.
Yes, don't forget to join us next week, Rod, I want to say as well, because it is a big weekend racing. The Coca-Cola 600, the Truck Series is in action, Xfinity Series is action, and the Indianapolis 500. And yes, it gets its own show. There will be 4 shows next week. Indy 500 gets its own full episode. We'll have a full slate of picks for that. So it's always a fun episode, always a fun time. Obviously, we've got the Larson part of things with him being over there to cross promote and all that stuff. So that's great. I know we've got appearance scheduled on the SGPN podcast. I'm going to be jumping on the Steffi Smalls show, bunch of other stuff out there. So next week is going to be a ton of fun and cannot wait. Looking forward to it. So Make sure you're back with us then. Hit that subscribe button over on the YouTube. Follow me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. Got some NFL stuff that just came out, NASCAR stuff, of course, NHL stuff coming out this weekend, a ton of other things. Follow it all there. We'll see you guys next week. Good luck for All-Star Week.
For All-Star Weekend, yes. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's In Between Media. Make sure you check out the Back Road on the In Between Media YouTube. Definitely have some fun breaking down the All-Star race with Seth earlier this week. And, follow me on Twitter for all my other stuff that's going on. Look, I promise that I have better esports bets that were out there. I did hit one earlier in the day, just missed this one. So there's other good stuff on there as well. And then, of course, make sure you're checking out the Arena Football One podcast, actually, because I'm making some appearances on there and having some fun. So go support that show as well. All right. Love everybody. We will see you guys next week for probably the biggest week in motorsports. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.
Another piece of